everyone, I just wanted to make a quick video to go over some tips for prepping your files for letterpress in Adobe Illustrator. And if you follow these tips, it will definitely save us all a lot of time in the back and forth of fixing files, and they're really pretty easy steps. There's like 3 or 4 things you just want to do before you submit your files for letterpress. So let's jump in. First, I just wanted to really quick go over when you're importing calligraphy from Photoshop and doing your image trace. Let's do this real quick. You click trace here and it has it all traced, but please don't forget to click this little expand button. That's what makes it into Illustrator friendly kind of drawing rather than a Photoshop little nugget. And so it's important to do that or else it will not work for me and it won't transfer into my computer. So make sure you do that when you're in all these little dots are showing up when you are importing your calligraphy from Photoshop. And so moving on, this is just a little invite design. It has a little sketch that has been brought in from Photoshop and converted, traced, and expanded into paths in Illustrator. Here I have some text that's typed out in a font, and then here's some calligraphy as well. So the first thing you want to do is go to your, up here, oops, I think I might not be recording this part, but you'll go to File, and you'll go down to Document Color Mode, and make sure you're in CMYK color mode, and you'll need to set everything to black. So that will be 0C, 0M, 0Y, 100K, 100% black, because that's how they will make the plate, which is basically the stamp of your image. It's made from a negative, and so everything has to be completely black or else it won't work, and it will cause a huge headache for everyone. So definitely make sure that everything is set to black. And what I'll do, once you convert make sure your file is in CMYK and not RGB mode, then you'll select it and go up here to your color. Usually this black will be 100K, but I'll just check to make sure by clicking new swatch, and it'll show 0, 0, 0, 100, and that's exactly what you want, nothing but black. Okay, so yeah, so make sure that all of your colors are set to black and all of your strokes, if you have any strokes that are not white. Sometimes I'll do a white stroke to kind of make things a little lighter. Probably you guys do that too. So that's fine, but just make sure anything that you want to show up on the letterpress print is in 100K black. So pretty easy. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you'll need to convert your fonts to paths. So what I'll do is go Command A to select all, or you can do select all and I think under edit or something like that, and then Command Shift O. And so that will make it so that your font is no longer editable and it is paths in Illustrator. And that's really important because sometimes or the service that I use to make the plates, their computer doesn't have the font that you're using, and it will like convert it to something weird or like Arial or something like that. And so you want to make sure your fonts stay the way you've made them, and so please convert them to outline. So again, that would be Control Alt and then Command Shift O for outline. So make sure you do that. I'm going to do Control Alt and Shift O for outline. And then the last thing you want to check is that your lines are thick enough. So the letterpress is basically the plate or the stamp that the letterpress uses is made of plastic, and it's a relief. So the whole around the plastic is kind of washed away, and the plastic that remains is what makes the print or the impression. And so you want to make sure that the lines are thick enough to not just wash away with the rest of the plastic that gets washed away from the letter. So hopefully that makes sense. Basically there's like a negative that will go over the plastic. A light is shown through, and the place where the light shines hardens, and that's where your letters will be, and then the rest of the plastic washes away. So you have to make sure that your lines are thick enough so they don't wash away with the rest of it. Hopefully that makes sense. So for the type of plate that I use, the line will need to be at least 0.35 points thick. So I'll write that down, 0.35 points. Oops, that is big. The letters are big, I mean. The line is pretty small. And so, so what you will do to make sure that you have your lines thick enough is, especially if you're using like an italicized or a sans serif font, you'll want to check to make sure that some of these narrow areas like this line and the M are thick enough. And so what you can do is zoom in, get your line tool over here, and then set your fill to nothing and set your stroke to 0.35. And then you can just kind of eyeball it and say, okay, oops, that's 1 point. So 0.35 points. And so that's 0.35 points. And as you can see, this line is not quite thick enough, and so it might wash away. And so you want to make sure that it's thick enough, and then your circles or dots will need to be 1 point in diameter. So you can go over here to your ellipse tool, and if you double click and put your width as 1 point, and that'll give you, oops, let's set that for a fill with no stroke. That'll give you an idea. So that's looking good. So the points are okay, but some of these narrow lines are not quite right. So what we'll have to do then is put an outline on these to make sure that they are thick enough. And so the easiest way to do it is to do it as a half of 0.35, because it will be going on both sides of the line, which is 0.175 point stroke. So you'll select your text, set it as a black stroke. I just kind of double check, yep, 100% okay, because sometimes Illustrator will put weird blacks in there and it messes everything up. Okay, and then you'll set up your stroke as 0.175 points, and that will just kind of thicken it up. And it looks thicker in Illustrator, honestly, than it'll show up on the press. It's very negligible difference in terms of thickness when it actually prints, and it makes it so you don't have to worry about losing any of your lines. So yeah, there you go. So now you can see it is thick enough. You could maybe go to like 0.17 points or something if you want to get it as thin as possible. But just make sure that when you're checking that, that you make sure that the lines are thick enough. So that's pretty much it. So just make sure you do that to all of your text. And if you have really thin points on your calligraphy, make sure to do that as well, so that it'll all stand on the press. I think is how they say it, stand on the press. So yeah, there you go. That's kind of basic tips for letterpress designs. To go over them again, set your document to CMYK 100K and convert your font's text to outlines or paths, and then make sure that everything is at least 0.35 points thick for lines and 1 point diameter for dots or dashes. Thank you for listening to this. Hope it's helpful, and we look forward to printing with you soon. Thanks.